all that good stuff. And then, just make friends. That's the beauty of these things. You just come down, you talk to everybody. We got coast-to-coast representation, as well as like pole-to-pole representation. It's crazy. I'm actually honestly having so much fun here. It's rejuvenating for the spirit, very healing. Come on, stragglers, don't be shy. I see you in the hallway. Ambe Oma, that means come here in Ojibwe. Bindigin, come in. I think Namadabin is like sit down, something like that. Buckanage means bingo, so yeah, keep that in the back pocket there. Buckanage. Buckanage, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. If you say it in like some of like the halls downtown, they're not gonna understand what you're saying. But try it, try it. It's always a beautiful thing to say. Very try it, yes, very try it. Come on in. I love to see the ribbon skirts coming through the door and the ribbon shirts. Come on in, my friends. Leah, go chase everyone down. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a minute to get everybody all set up here. So at this time, can I call upon Samantha Jack, President Benning, and Senator Pawis Tabobadang to come and get some seats here at the reserve table? I hope I said that right. I apologize if I did not. Yeah, I know. I was going to introduce you. It's okay. Avery's here too as well, people. Like, welcome to Avery. Yeah. Woo, 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 woo. She's doing such a great job. This is Avery's first MC job, guys. Let's give her a round of applause. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You guys all got mics?
Yeah, I think no.
Okay. All right. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be turning it over to my co-MC, also the IYC president, Avery Doxtator. Let's give her a big warm welcoming. She's going to bring us into our next portion.
I'm so sorry, that was my fault. Is it okay if we turn all the mics on at once or no? Yeah, that's chill. Okay, good. Welcome, Senator Vera. So everyone, this is a panel on intergenerational perspectives. And as you see, we have many generations up here on the stage with us this morning. Myself, I don't know what generation I'm in. I don't even know if it's X, Y, Z, don't even know. But we're gonna get started, and our movement is it takes in a lot of stages of life. I personally got involved with the Friendship Center movement before I was even born. My mother was part of the prenatal program at Odawa, which is here in Ottawa. And so I was living it up in the Friendship Center before I even knew it. But yeah, and then just being able to grow up and benefit from the programming, I fell in love with the sports that were being offered. I was able to play tennis through Friendship Center programming. I did a lot, and I'm still playing sports to this day. I'm currently at the University of Toronto playing varsity water polo. We just won our 10th consecutive perfect season. And I do want to say that I owe it to the Friendship Center for having me fall in love with sport and continue to be active throughout my life. So I want to now get our panelists to introduce themselves, as well as my co-moderator, Sarah Shuttleworth. So I'll start with you, Kelly. Who are you? What center are you? And tell us about you.
Hello. Hi again. My name is Kelly Benning. I am a Métis woman. I live in Grand Prairie, Alberta. My Métis family roots go through Willowbunch, Saskatchewan, up through Swan River, Manitoba. So my biggest role right now is I'm a granny, and I absolutely love it. I have many beautiful grandchildren that I get to spend a lot of time with. And I've been a part of the Friendship Center movement for probably just over 20 years. My first introduction into Friendship Centers, I lived in a small town, grew up in a small town outside of Grand Prairie, and I used to go to the center with my dad to his 12-step meetings. And so, yeah, that was the first time I was in a Friendship Center, and it's always been my soft place to fall. From there, I was on the board at the local Friendship Center, and I was the executive director there for 4.5 years. And I worked at our local college, which has the only on-campus Friendship Center, which was really exciting. And I spent a lot of time there doing what I think was really good work, working with students going to post-secondary school. And I was part of the Alberta Native Friendship Centers Association's executive. I was the secretary and the treasurer, and then I came on to the national board as the Alberta rep, and then the vice president, and just starting my second term as president. So yeah, that's more or less who I am.
Nice to meet you. And Vera?
I want to say when I was over Vera P was to Babadung Disney cause was oxing Donjaba Podium. I'm a mom, have 3 children. I have grandchildren and I have great grandchildren. Those are my credentials. I've been very involved in the Friendship Center. I can tell my son is 52, so I know that I've been involved in the Friendship Centers for 52 years. I started out as a board member, and we had a meeting, or we were doing a proposal one time to government, and way back then our proposals were in the same hopper as the First Nations that are surrounding our town. So it had to be 150% better, if not more better, in order to be recognized as a good project. So that's how I got involved in the Friendship Center. From that board, we were looking around, they were looking around because we created 3 or 4 jobs out of that proposal. And so we were looking around how we were going to recruit these people for that, because the project was successful. And we looked around, and so they were talking about, okay, you got to make a job description, you got to make a job posting, you got to put it out here, you got to put it out there. And so one of the men on the board said, he said, I think we already have a secretary. He says, I don't see why you don't just hire her. So if that man had not have spoken up, I would not have gotten the job. Well, I probably could have applied like everybody else. However, he recognized some of the skills and talents I had. And so of all of the members of the board, they said, okay. And so that was how I got started in the Friendship Center. And maybe that's not right, but it was right way back when. And then so from there we went from being a secretary, a 2-person, 1-person Friendship Center, to a 2, and then a 3. And so that goes on from there. So I think maybe if you looked at Parry Sound, probably still a 3-person center. So after 50 years, we should have graduated at least to 4. But however, those are my beginnings in the Friendship Center, and attending OFIFC meetings and looking at observing all of the people, and coming to a NAFC AGM and more people, and looking and seeing who's all the movers and shakers. They're the ones standing at the mics making the resolutions, making the motions, and sending the direction of the organization ahead. And so when I was at the OFIFC, I was in all of the positions. I watched to see how you're going to be a secretary, how you're going to be a treasurer, how you're going to be the first vice president, how you're going to be the second vice president, and how you're going to be the president. So I learned all of those things and took all of those roles on till I eventually became the president of the OFIFC, and I was the president for 10 years. And then it was time, it's like, okay, where else do you go in Friendship Center country? once you become the president of the organization, the provincial organization. So they said, okay, I think you're good to go. And so they made the motion that Vera Paywas-Tababadang should come up and be on the NAFC board, and the thing goes all through again. Learn how to be a board member at the NAFC level, learn how to be the member of an executive, and take those roles and work with the executive to keep our Friendship Center moving ahead, our Friendship Center movement, and eventually becoming the president of the National Association of Friendship Centers for 10 years. So it's a whole bunch of Friendship Center life for all of my life, and look forward and give always my thanks to the Friendship Center movement for my honor and privilege to sit here in front of you. So miigwech for listening, and I'm looking forward to the panel. And already I'm just blown away by just all of the opening, the prayers, and the speech from Edith. I'm already blown away. I'm just full, absolutely. So with that, I'm going to continue to enjoy the rest of the conference and help out where I can. See, I always thought I was retired. I tried that. And then every once in a while, somebody will gift me moccasins. So when you're gifted the moccasins, you know that you have work to do, because all of the ladies do their work in moccasins, or the men too. You see the men at ceremonies, they got their moccasins on. So when I'm gifted the moccasins, I know I got more work to do. So miigwech to my gifter for these ones. Miigwech, and I'll keep quiet.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so excited to get into it more in depth. I'm going to pass it over to Sam now.
Chichimhealqua, Uklama Samantha Jack. Good morning, everyone. My name is Samantha Jack. I come from Nuchanuth and Yale First Nations, specifically from Muwachut Muchlet, also known as Gold River, on the west coast of Vancouver Island, from the Johnson family on my father's side. And from my mother's family, I come from Ruby Creek Reserve number 2, not the first one, but the second one, which is just before Hope in the Lower Mainland, but on the other side of the Fraser River, the north side of the Fraser River. I also love to acknowledge my godfather, who is Chief Rocky Wilson of Halitzum First Nation. He was one of my principal guides in life that really got me into this work. But before I continue with, I guess, how I started in the movement, I really just wanted to thank all of the elders and knowledge keepers that opened us up in such a good way with those good prayers, with the stories, and how we continue on throughout this day and into for the lighting of the ulik. That was beautiful. My journey in the Friendship Center didn't start when I was a child. It started about 7 years ago as a youth. I was part of the Millennial Scoop, and I was taken from my family and raised with a white settler family. And so the Friendship Center came to me in my life as really a blessing, as something I never knew I needed because I didn't know who I was, because of how I grew up. But my university offered its first Indigenous studies course after I lost my guide, my mentor, my uncle, to cancer. And I went to his funeral, and I saw so many great leaders come together to pay tribute to him and to pay tribute to the family and to be surrounded by culture, by drumming, by knowledge keepers, by the beautiful regalia. I recognized how important culture was, and that I had not been as connected to who I was as I should have been. And so in that university class, my professor, Kachina, she held my hand, a strong Dene woman, and she said, "You need to figure out who you are." And so I went through my self-discovery, and now I'm able to say who I am, where my family comes from, and even introduce myself in my language. And that's something I'm still hoping to continue. But through that, I started getting really vocal about all of our shared colonial history and trying to stimulate conversations and bring about this reconciliation that everyone's talking about. Started in my university, created my first ever Indigenous Student Council to give ourselves a platform where we could be included in decision-making processes, where our voice mattered. And then someone from the Friendship Center came and was like, you need to come over here. And so I went to the Fraser Region Aboriginal Friendship Center Association, or FRAFCA for short, in Surrey. And I started very much like you, Avery, in the Spirit Bear program with the prenatal, postnatal. I was an elders floater. Anywhere I could help, I was there as a Canada Summer Job student. And then through all of that work, our amazing executive director at the time, Joanne Mills, is like, you need to be on the board. And I'm like, what's a board? And I joined the board, and just my knowledge and just continuing to learn and to do what I can in positions that, offer me influence, and that's something that I really believe in. But it wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for my uncle and the continued support of my friendship centers. As I went to the provincial level, I was on the Provincial Aboriginal Youth Council. I think we were one of 5 at the time. We were hit pretty hard by COVID. But then I got involved at the NAFC, and I would not be here if it wasn't for my Friendship Center. And I'm so honored and grateful and in awe of all of the work that all of these centers do. And being on the IYC and being on the board, being able to see the work that all of you are doing is just, it fills my spirit, it fills my heart with that good love. And I'm really excited to be able to be here and share in Circle today. So thank you.
Miigwech for sharing all of your stories and your beginnings. It's so lovely to hear, because I feel like we can all relate to our being involved in the Friendship Center movement. Obviously, we're here, sorry. But I would love to pass it to Sarah to introduce yourself as a co-moderator.
Sure, thank you. My name is Sarah Shuttleworth. I'm Red River Métis from Dauphin, Manitoba. First of all, I just want to say it's such an honor to be up here with you guys. I can just feel the power on this stage with all 4 of you. It's amazing. I am an IYC alumni. I'm currently the first vice president for the Manitoba Association of Friendship Centers, also a board member for the Dauphin Friendship Center in my home community. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be up here. Avery and I are going to co-moderate this panel, ask some of the panel members questions and get their answers, and it's excited.
So I just wanted to add something I forgot, that in the University of Life, there's lots of places and learnings and everyday good living. But I did graduate to be able to sit with the Senate, who are here today and are always poking me and say, oh, it's your turn. And so if there's anything that the Senate wants to add during our panel up here, I'm sure they're going to jump for a mic and add on to what I have shared, because being part of the Senate is your total aspiration, all of you. Miigwech.
I think that's a perfect way to start it off, because that leads into the first question of, why do you think it's so important to have leaders from different generations in the Friendship Center movement? And how does this strengthen our movement as a whole? So, Kelly, get into it. I'm sorry, you said no questions first, but it's for you.
I'm sitting beside you, hey? Well, I think it's so important to have intergenerational perspectives, like and all the age groups. I think because everybody brings stuff to the table, and it's an important thing to hear, and all the different perspectives, and it's so important to hear the young voices, but at the same time you need to make space for the old people and the people in between. And so I think that whenever a person is building a team, if they can bring all those different voices to the table that it just makes it that much richer and that much more authentic, and then people feel better represented when they come into the room, and they see, if they're say perhaps at their first big national meeting and they're young and they see somebody like you, young beautiful women at the table, they feel like they too can be there and all the way through. I think that it's really important to have those different perspectives, for sure.
Is there anything you would like to add, Vera, Senator?
Thank you. I think it's really important to have all of the representatives of the circle in your Friendship Center work. That all of our answers, all of our questions, all of our solutions are in that circle. And being part of Friendship Center, if I was able to always to look and to see the people that came from big families, so that you always had a built-in roster of volunteers. So you have somebody that comes and is able to represent the elders or the seniors, then they have a voice. And then that's what's important about having everybody representative in that circle and in your Friendship Center, is they all have a voice. They all bring voices, they all bring ideas, they all bring opinions, they all bring directions. They also bring protocols in the sense of how we work together and how we maintain the integrity of our work and have respect for families and all levels, all diversities of families. And so that when you give voice to those young people that work or that are part of your early on program, you have that strength right from the beginning. When you have the grandma sitting in having tea, that brings strength and brings you some direction to how we're doing. I think because it's like, if we didn't have the diversity of all of the age groups in our programs, then we're missing something. But it's also something that we can strive to make sure is included in everything we do. Because some things that I knew as a whip and snip and know-it-all young person way back when was not exactly right with what the aunties and the grandmas were telling me or what the uncles were saying in ceremony. That we had to be able to have that openness to be able to design our own ways forward. So that's it for now. Miigwech.
Good to know.
And I guess the other thing, Avery, is really that's within the Friendship Centers. It's the ability to continue walking forward, including everybody, and building up our own style of leadership. So that when we were the ones underneath the quilting frames listening to the stories, we were also the ones that were able to practice our listening and can be better at listening today than maybe we were when we were 16. And I think that's the element that probably we can write a big paper for one of your degrees in your program there about Friendship Centers and its ability to recognize and support and raise up leadership within its organization and its way of being.
I just wanted to add to that too, that thank you to the people that were able to bring their children along. I think that that's so important. And I think that that's something that Friendship Centers are good at doing, is making sure that our children are involved and that, like you said, they hear those stories so they know who they are. And they know that being a part of something is something that they can do too.
Yeah, that's so true. I seen that baby over there, Mia. She's walking. She's only 13 months old. She's looking like us. She walks better than me. But yeah, it is so valuable, and it's a culture we've created as a Friendship Center movement, and it's really beautiful to see everyone making sure that those who follow in their footsteps or who are coming behind them are also being taken care of. Sam, is there anything you'd like to add to?
Yeah, I think, there we go. Friendship centers are so important because that's where we're trying to find that sense of family, that sense of connection, a home away from home, our home territories. We're in these medium, small, large urban centers, and we're not in our traditional territories. We don't have that direct access to culture in this city, and so being able to have that is so important. And to, like what you said, Vera, about creating that sense of governance and finding a way back to our traditional ways. That's why having so many different generations included is so important, because we don't want to leave anyone behind. Everyone has a voice and everyone has a role, just in our communities, as I've always been. And so it's always important to be able to have that. And it stems further than that too, because often we all face different barriers at different generations. And so it's so important for us to be able to participate in the decision making of how we address those barriers. Because often, say, issues that youth or barriers that youth are facing, we often have some pretty cool ideas on how to deal with those barriers. Same with elders, and being able to be guided through the intergenerational mentorship is so important. To have our elders really guide the way for us as young people.
Thank you for your answers on that question. So Sam, as you mentioned, friendship centers provide us with connections and wide networks, and it's not always within one generation, right? We can see that it's spread across. So the next question is, can you give us an example of when you have learned from another leader from another generation and what they may have taught you?
Yeah. One of the lessons that's really stuck with, I have so many, I'm guided by all the wisdom of the knowledge keepers that we have at our center. But I think one of the biggest ones is you're never wrong to do the right thing, to treat people with kindness and love and respect. And to do what you can in the positions that you have, and that's something that's been able to guide me in a lot of the work that I do. But I think it stems further than that, and further into like the reflections of life itself and how we want to walk on this land in a good way with a good mind and a good heart. They agree. That we want to shake things up every once in a while, and to really shake it up, and to further that sense of connection and to help and support each other and to lift each other up is so important. And that's something that's really guided me in my work.
Thank you. Senator Vera, would you like to add?
So this one for me was, it had lots of answers. It goes all over the world, this sharing. And I guess it was from my friend, and he said, if you're going to be here at the start of the meeting, you better be sitting here at the end. My friend said, okay, you have a responsibility, and that is to be the runner. You have a message. So it's your job to take the message there and let nothing, no obstacles, distractions be in your way till you get there to deliver the message. And when you get the answer back, it's the same way back, that there's no distractions, no obstacles in your way, that you bring that same message back to the people. So the other one is, see, there's a whole bunch. So anyway, we're sitting in a big room like this, and we were waiting, and we couldn't start the meeting till the elder came, or the person that had the respect of the group to say the prayers. So then he looks over and he says, you know how to pray too. You don't have to wait for me all of the time to be the one to do the prayers, because we all know how to pray. So the other one is seeing my friend in a meeting big like this, right? And there's issues, there's things to talk about. And the way she could boss those guys around at the front was always amazing to me. And yet she was there as part of representing all of us in the Friendship Center movement. She was part of an executive, and she still made those men sit down and listen when she had something to say. And when I seen that in action, she became my idol, my hero, my friend forever, Senator Marge White. And so, you know, there's little gems all over the place, lots of glimmers in this Friendship Center movement that I could go on and on and on. And I think that was the best, some of the better, reflections are stories to tell that we've been a movement for a long time, and it was by our own design. We made some mistakes, but we sure know how to apologize and fix those mistakes and know that we've become a better organization because of all of the people that are in this room, the ones in the spirit world. And when you really believe, then we're absolutely who we are because of all of that. And when we can get a little bit better at acknowledging our Eagle staff and remember those teachings and the people that have created that Eagle staff to be part of who we are, and to give it the respect and dignity and all of those teachings that come along with that. And, you know, when Edith talked today about the Eagle staff at her Friendship Center, it's like, can you imagine? Can you imagine if you all came and you all bought your Eagle staffs, how full this room would be? And really how full it is, because some of you do have those Eagle staffs in your Friendship Center. So I just wanted to say that much. There's so many more. Love you. Thanks for listening.
Well, I like to think that I've learned a lot of things from a lot of people, from babies all the way through old people and such. But I guess what really stands out for me is learning how to sit in silence and be okay with that, and be comfortable with that, and appreciate it and honor it, rather than just having to fill space, and being comfortable and confident in that. And sometimes it's just standing quietly, and it's amazing how much that can calm a room. That's something that I learned from one of my mentors and heroes, Vera. I remember once I was at a meeting, and the lady that was at the mic was very upset. She was very emotional, and she was having a hard time speaking, but she had something important to say. But you could tell she was kind of rushing herself because she was emotional. And Vera got up and stood at the back of the room, and you could see her eyes go to her, and you could watch her calm down and be able to take up that space, take that moment, catch her breath, and share the important message that she had. And so for me, that's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned is silence is extremely loud and powerful, and it's something to be honored and respected and spend time in. So, yeah.
And I think that Senator Mary Richard really brought a lot of things home to me, that she was able to do all of the jobs in the Friendship Center, right from scrubbing the floors to negotiating and talking to government. And whenever we were in a gathering like this, she enjoyed a couple of things. She enjoyed the time to sit there and have a glass of wine. She enjoyed the time that she was outside talking to young people and sharing a cigarette. And all of those places she was able to connect and be with everybody in your own space, in your own time, doing what you did and talking about who you were as a Friendship Center people. And the other one that I want to say that really helped me to be where I was and where I needed to be was Mel. She traveled me all around the world, got me from point A to point B, and laugh and say, how'd you do that? But anyway, that was Mel that did that, Mel Miracle at our NAFC office, that she's been beside me for all of these years, and we're not aunties, we're just Mel and Vera, sisters. We don't have no definition. Miigwech for listening.
Wow, so we really don't have enough fingers to count all of the mentors that we've had in this movement. My first mentor was Marge. She taught me how to play bingo. And we didn't win, but we had a good time. Moving on, I feel like you guys covered what types of supports are needed for leaders of your generation a little bit in that. So we can go to Sarah.
Next one. Okay, for sure. So this question is kind of a 3-part question. If you had the ability to time travel, would you go to the past or the future? That's the first part. How far would you go in the past or the future? And then what advice would you give yourself in that time? So this might take some thinking, but.
Boo, 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 doo, doo, doo.
Well, I don't think that you could not go ahead without taking your past, because we absolutely have to give thanks to Friendship Centers for helping people to understand who they were, their identity, their language, and their culture. So we'd have to for sure take those. So with that, I would take the Eagle staff with me. I would take somebody that can speak the language. They tell me that in Spirit's work that spirits talk to us in the language. And I think I would take some seeds and maybe some water. It might not be over there, but anyway, because I'm really excited to see what that is way over there. Because I think we're still going way over there, or way over there, however we are in this planet. Because I'm really excited to see what we're going to do about data. I'm really excited to see what we're going to do about languages. I'm really excited to see what we're going to do about culture. I'm really excited to see what we're going to do about friendship centers. I'm really excited to see what we're going to do about this AI. And I'm really excited to see what that little young lady will look like in 50 years' time. And I'm really excited that we would take all of our 7 grandfather teachings with us, and that we do it with the greatest love and integrity and commitment and value that we can muster right from the bottom of our toes right to the top of our heads and beyond. That's what I take with me, and all of you and everybody at home. Because you didn't say it was just me going, right? You just said, what way did I take? Miigwech.
We're coming. Sam?
Sure. I would probably go, there we go. I'd probably go back in time, maybe 10 years, maybe 12 or 15. And the advice I would have for myself is to make the most of time while I have it with the people that I love. I went through my self-discovery after I lost my greatest mentor, and that's something I still feel that his work inspires me and guides me and moves me in all the right directions, and I still feel his presence when I do that. But I still have something that happens every single day where I could turn to him and I would tell him something cool that happened or ask him questions. That was something that I've always had the biggest questions with in this kind of youth leadership path is what would Uncle Rocky do, or what would Uncle Rocky say? And so making the most of the time while I have it with my uncle, but also with my paternal grandmother while she was still here. And she would still speak the language to me, but being able to learn it maybe a little bit ahead of time so I could speak with her back as well. I think that's something that I think about pretty regularly is being gentle and loving with myself and recognizing that, this is how colonization has impacted us. This is how colonization has impacted me. But making my peace and reconciling, if you will, my own history, but recognizing that it's okay to come into this a little later in life, and that our paths are set out for us for a reason. And reminding myself, my younger self, of that and how important culture is and our knowledge keepers and our guides. So, yeah.
Miigwech. Kelly, do you have a time that you'd like to?
Well, I think time travel is fascinating, but I also don't think it's for me. I think I'd be too scared to actually time travel. So I guess what I would do is I would stay where I am and look to the future and hold space and welcome Sam back from the past and thank her for going there and bringing all those stories and wisdom with her. And I would pack a bag for Vera, and I would make sure there was water and lots of seeds. And I would hold the space here for these beautiful travelers to go on their way and welcome them home when they came back.
Wow. See, and those are some of the things that we already have. That we already have the gift of vision. And we've already been over there, some of us, and you need to take the time to talk and share those, even if somebody thinks you're crazy, because you're talking about things that came to you in a vision, came to you in a dream. So we already have those. So we just need to sharpen that up and keep believing in each other. So I know that when my friend took the old man to see the Star Wars movie, that's what he was, when he came out, he asked the old man, what did you think about the movie? He says, it was pretty good, he says, but we already had that. We already did that. We already know how to do that. So lots of things are like that. We already know how to do them. So when we're going way over there, and the other thing I keep forgetting sometimes, and I know they will welcome me when I get back there, but my family, and I just say my family, and you will think that it's my son and all those people. But that's the secret of who we've been as the Friendship Center movement, is that we're a family. And we've been a family for a long time, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. That it used to be my heroes, doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs. Well, it's still lawyers and healers and astronauts and physicists, those data people that are going to be so important to us. So there's lots of things that we have that we can build upon and continue this Friendship Center family. Miigwech.
Miigwech. So, thank you all for sharing such valuable knowledge and stories with us. I think it really shows that everyone has their perspective and their intergenerational look on what the movement is and where it's going and where it's been and how it can be shaped for the future. So we want to end on a good note going into lunch, and this has been so lovely. So we're going to do a real quick one each. Everybody has to tell me, what is your power song? What gets you going? What gets you pumped up? And then you're like, okay, I can take on the world today and the future tomorrow.
Well, I would like to say a really, really cool song, but my local center is here and they know I'm not cool, so I would get caught. It's really silly, but when I was in about grade 1, I heard the song I Can See Clearly Now. And I have always had that song in my back pocket, so that's my song. It's not so much a power song as a hope and belief song, and I'm that old, yeah. She's probably got a cooler song than me.
I've heard it before though, so don't worry.
So I wanted to also remind us that what we're doing today, tomorrow, and forever, it's because of the children. I really want to share that my friend Andrea Landry, who sits out there in Saskatchewan and was part of the Friendship Center movement, still is, presented this feather to me. And that was always to remind myself and everyone that the work that we're doing isn't because of us, it's because of the children. And we keep getting reminded about that. So I want to remember to say that today, and always my miigwetches to Andrea. Now, this song business, oh my God. I think it would have to be it has to be a couple of songs. You know those Asin, the lady hand drummers? We had them a few times. I think something by them, or else it has got to be a real get off your chair by something by Tina Turner.
I love music. Music has always been my escape. I'm always the girl with the playlists. But I think one of the songs that always uplifts me, that always brings me back is, it's called Brown Skin Girl by Leon Bridges. And I just remember playing it in the living room with my family and just dancing around together and just experiencing that joy together. And so every once in a while when I get in the car, I'll play it and be reminded of that love. So.
I just wanted to invite my senators if they had any closing words that they wanted to share.
Yoo-hoo!
Miigwech.
Thank you all. Can we get a round of applause for this panel and how incredible they are? Yo! Thank you all for sharing. And we have gifts for you, so don't leave yet. Wait. Turn the mic back up. Oh.
I think you might get something from us. Nice. Easy.
Oh, leave it right. Wow. Is this the song?
Easy. We always do it. Nice. Rough. But we're gonna take the beginning of this song.
Okay, y'all, so we're gonna break for lunch now. Oh, sorry, one moment. Want to announce it?
I can do it because it's.
Okay, you can't do it?
No, I can do it.
Okay, come on.
Just a quick announcement. For the second year in a row, Bell has invited the NAFC to be part of Bell Let's Talk. This year, they're doing a street-style kind of questions about mental health when it comes to Indigenous peoples. So Bell should be arriving any minute now. And I believe they'll be setting up on the outside. So if anyone would like to be part of the Bell Let's Talk commercial for the NAFC, they'll be there for the next few hours. And I think it's about 5 minutes per person. Just a few questions about kind of, accessing mental health services as Indigenous people. So keep an eye out for that. If you want to do that, great. English and French language speaking is welcome. So, yeah.
Miigwech. Alright, so now, he doesn't like that one. Sorry, encore. Now we're gonna break for lunch. And after lunch, you're gonna go straight into your workshops. So make sure you know where you're headed, what number workshop you have. If not, find someone who knows. We can try and help you point you in the right directions.
Sharing circles.
And if you're marked sharing circles, then you're headed to registration. There's 15 participant spots, so go head over there if you haven't registered yet. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a good lunch.
So my pronouns are she, her. And as I said, I'm from Kitagan-Zibi, I'm a policy analyst. So there's many ways that you can introduce yourselves and utilize pronouns in very creative ways or very straightforward ways. So the purpose of this toolkit is that, many Indigenous people are in need of spaces that can support their gender and sexual identities and to also explore them. So the creation of safe spaces can significantly help reduce one's feelings of isolation and help promote the feeling of belonging by creating a stronger sense of community. And I know that friendship centers have acted as an institution or an organization or just a sense of home. And that goes hand in hand with the sense of belonging. So when I think of this toolkit, I think it goes hand in hand with the Friendship Center movement. I think gender diversities go hand in hand with the Friendship Center movement because there's always a place for everyone. So the creation of this toolkit is meant to be an entry point to starting a conversation around 2S, LGBTQIA, and gender diverse members accessing Friendship Center supports, programs, and services. So in this way, we can support the advancement for gender equity and inclusion by creating welcoming and dynamic spaces. The goal of this toolkit is to be an accessible and comprehensive resource that can act as a guide to questions that one might have surrounding gender and sexuality. So I'm not, like I said at the beginning, we're coming from all different points of learning. So whether you know tons about gender and sexuality or whether you know nothing, this toolkit is aimed to support you in learning. No matter how old you are, where you come from, this is to support you and your own learning journey. And so here, there's a list of what is included in this toolkit. So we offer guidance that is pretty comprehensive, I would say, and culturally relevant. So a lot of the examples are referring to culture, kind of like what Dylan said, that emphasis on inviting culture into the Friendship Center movement. That's what we're trying to do with the toolkit as well. An answer guide, and you'll see answer guide is in quotations because we believe that answers are not actual answers. They're meant to constantly be evolving to address the needs of the community. Culturally informed so that it's Indigenous centered with resources drawn from Indigiqueer and 2S experiences. So the experiences of Two-Spirited and Indigiqueer folks are really what informs the toolkit. And acknowledgement of past and current supports that friendship centers have already been doing. So a lot of friendship centers within the movement have already developed their own programs and services that respond to the needs of the queer community, of the Two-Spirit community, of the Indigiqueer community. And so in the acknowledgements, I really wanted to point towards the people sitting up front, but also to the people who couldn't be here today. So we have Riley Yesno, who worked really, really hard on the history, and she provided us with a lot of perspective building where we didn't know where to start when we received the GBA toolkit. Like when I first came on, I wasn't too sure how this would benefit the Friendship Center movement, and I wanted to hear from you folks as well. It was very important that I heard the needs of the Friendship Center movement. And so Riley was able to provide us with history. And Kirsten also was able to provide us with a lot of great perspective building in what it is like to be someone who looks like a woman, who identifies as a woman, but dances traditional, men's traditional at powwows, so that really inspired me. Colton is a non-binary queen from Kitagan-Zibi and is also my best friend. And so I think that it's very important that we acknowledge trans folks in the community. And then we have lovely Shelby and Maddie with us, so we'll be hearing from them throughout the presentation. So urban Indigenous members accessing friendship centers and the PTAs, so the provincial and territorial associations, come from many different backgrounds which must be acknowledged and respected. So members may have several identities that overlap in multiple communities that are more affected by racism and discrimination. So an example of that would be someone who identifies as First Nations, who is Two-Spirit, so like myself. It is acknowledged that friendship centers and PTAs are all unique in their approach to support delivery, and it is with great emphasis that the tools, resources, and materials within this toolkit are meant to be adapted to what might best fit your members and your communities, because our mission is to support your mission. All right, so I'm going to invite Samantha to help me out now.
Yes, so it's important to have more of an understanding of the difference between gender and sexuality, as often we see many people who do not walk this path with us refer to them as interchangeable and they're the same thing, but really they're fundamentally different, and they're always evolving and changing, and it's up to the person to define it for themselves. But roughly we have a definition here of gender, which is socially constructed. People can define their gender identity in various ways that include man or woman. However, there are also folks that may identify as gender fluid, non-binary, or gender non-conforming. And it's just important to keep that in mind, as gender can be a spectrum for people, or gender can be A or B, and both are okay. But it's important to have that awareness as we move forward. In terms of sexuality, it refers to attraction and can include several orientations. You can be gay, straight, heterosexual, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, etc. Both gender and sexuality can change throughout a person's life, just as we too also evolve through our lives. It's also important to be inclusive in our beliefs. Gender is a spectrum. There's a range of gender that identifies between and outside of the categories of male and female. Gender identity development happens from 0 until death. And gender is a product of the mind, and it's influenced by nature, nurture, and context, how we're socialized in life. And there's no correct style of expression for males or females. It's healthy for people to express how they feel and who they feel they are. And being transgender or gender nonconforming is normal and healthy. Historically, gender nonconforming children have been given a psychiatric diagnosis. However, the manual used by psychiatrists is under revision, and the updated version is to be released in 2012, will not consider transgender or gender nonconforming children to have a disorder.
So historically, you can already see the evolution of what gender nonconforming, transgender, and what organizations have thought to be an issue or disorder or a mental illness. So we really just wanted to start off this activity that we're going to start. It's a terminology activity. So the sheets should be in front of you. I believe they were handed out. Wonderful, thank you, Leah. So we're gonna take the next 15 to 20 minutes. This is anonymous. You get to keep these sheets. Like, this is for your own learning. And what we're gonna ask you to do is we're gonna ask you to write what you think the words mean. So as an example, asexual. You can write what you think asexual means. And then we're gonna go over each term together. But this is this is a part of the toolkit. We didn't put all of the definitions or all of the acronyms, but then we're gonna help you go through all of them after. So please just take the next 15 to 20 minutes, no rush, go through them, do your best, and be patient with yourselves. The quote unquote answer key, and I will let my lovely colleagues here walk you through it.
So, hello. So for the term asexual,